Every year, organizations around the world spend billions, yes, with a B, on cybersecurity training. Employees sit through these modules. They answer the quiz, they hit submit, box checked, compliance satisfied, auditors happy. And then 6 weeks later, someone opens a phishing email and hands over their credentials. Welcome to Darnley Cyber Café. I'm Darnley. Grab your cup, settle in, because today we're talking about one of the most expensive illusions in the security industry. The idea that sitting through a training video actually makes you safer. We're going to look at what the research actually says, what happens in the real world when that training fails, and more importantly, what actually works. This one applies to everyone: the IT manager, the small business owner, and the person reading their emails on their phone right now. Let me ask you something. When was the last time your organization ran a security awareness program? Maybe it was a short video. Maybe it was a phishing simulation that got someone in trouble. Maybe it was a slide deck that someone in IT put together at 11 p.m. the night before a compliance deadline. Don't ask me how I know this. Here's the thing. What kind of training exists largely for one reason: to satisfy an auditor? It's what's known as compliance theater. It looks like security. It feels like due diligence, but it's not actually making your people safer. Consider it just barely scraping the surface. Now, I want to be fair here. Awareness is not nothing. A recent global survey of over 1,800 senior IT and security leaders found that nearly 9 in 10 organizations say that attackers using AI has increased employee awareness of why security training matters. People are paying attention. They know the threat is real. 40%. That's your readiness number. The awareness is there. The readiness is not. And in cybersecurity, the gap between those two things is exactly where attackers live. There's also a completion problem. Despite all the investment, only a small fraction of organizations report full training completion. Nearly 7 in 10 leaders still say their employees don't have the sufficient security awareness, even after programs have been running for years. You're paying for something that most people aren't finishing, and the ones who do finish aren't necessarily changing their behavior. So why does this keep happening? Because most organizations treat cybersecurity training as a knowledge problem. Give people the information, they'll know what to do, but that's not how human behavior works. And that's the trap. Let's talk about the science, and I promise I'll keep this accessible. Researchers at ETH Zurich, one of the top technical universities in the world, spent years studying phishing simulation training. You know the kind. IT sends a fake phishing email, someone clicks it, they get a pop-up telling them that they failed, then they have to do a quick training module. The assumption is that the embarrassment itself and the immediate feedback changes their behavior. The ETH Zurich findings? That approach doesn't just fail to make employees more resilient. In some cases, it can actually make them more susceptible. Why? Because embedded training creates overconfidence. People start to believe that if an email were actually dangerous, they would know. They assume the real threats look like the training scenarios. They stop being appropriately skeptical. Now, layer on what the threat landscape actually looks like right now, and you start to see the real problem. Between 60 and 74% of all successful cyber attacks involve the human element. Not a zero-day exploit, not some nation-state backdoor, a person making a mistake, clicking something, sharing something, trusting something they shouldn't have. And the attacks have gotten dramatically more convincing. By late 2024, AI-generated spear phishing campaigns were achieving a 54% success rate in controlled testing, matching attacks crafted by human experts. And it's gotten worse. By early 2025, AI-powered phishing had gone from being 31% less effective than the human-written emails to 24% more effective. So in under 2 years, the machines caught up and surpassed us. And it's not just email anymore. There's a number that should make every business owner squirm. Vishing attacks. That's voice phishing. Phone scams surged 442% in 2024. The average loss from a single successful voice phishing attack, $125,000. Only 18% of organizations train their employees on vishing. 18. The attack vector is growing 400%, and less than 1 in 5 organizations are even talking to their people about it. Let me give you a real-world anchor on all this. April 2025, Marks and Spencer, one of the UK's most recognizable retail brands, a company with billions in revenue and a full security infrastructure. It got hit. The breach originated through a third-party contractor and was triggered by human error. The fallout? Halted online orders, contactless payment failures, stock availability problems across their store network, a massive, public, costly disruption. Not a sophisticated nation-state zero-day, human error. At a company that absolutely had training programs in place. The training trap in action. Okay, so training as we know it is broken. The compliance checkbox is a liability dressed up as control. So what actually works? Let me walk you through a real case study that I think illustrates this well. International Game Technology, IGT, is a global gaming and lottery company with over 11,000 employees across 6 continents. They had a traditional cybersecurity awareness program in place. Their phishing failure rate was running at 30%. Employees were clicking on 1 in 3 simulated phishing emails. They overhauled the approach, scrapped the long static modules, replaced them with bite-sized adaptive training experiences, short, contextually relevant, built around learning science, added personalized phishing simulation that adapted based on how each individual employee performed, and they made the feedback constructive rather than punitive. From 30% failure to 4 to 6%. That's not a marginal improvement, that's a transformation. And here's the important part. It didn't come from more information, it came from behavior change. So what are the actual principles? Let me break them down simply. First, frequency beats volume. A 5-minute touch point every 2 weeks is more effective than a 2-hour module once a year. The research is clear. It's those regular nudges, not content depth, that change behavior over time. Second, relevance beats generics. If your training doesn't reflect on the actual threats of your employees that they face in their role, it won't land. A finance team member needs to hear about BEC, business email compromise, and fake invoice scams. A developer needs to hear about code repository phishing. One size fits all is one size fits none. Third, behavior over knowledge. Stop measuring whether employees watch the video. Start measuring whether they're reporting suspicious activity. The metric that actually matters is not completion rate, it's reporting rate and response time. And fourth, this is for individuals and small business owners especially. You don't need an enterprise platform or millions of dollars to do this right. Start with the basics. The CISA publishes free guidance. The Meter Attack is a public framework that tells you exactly how attackers think and operate. Use these resources. Talk about threats all the time, at team meetings, in Slack channels, wherever your people communicate. Gartner put it well in their top security trends for 2026. Shift from general awareness training to adaptive behavioral programs that include AI-specific content and embed secure practices into your governance and policy structure. Make security a behavior, not a briefing. So here's the reframe I want to leave you with. Training is not broken. The way we've been doing training is broken. The annual video, the compliance quiz, the gotcha phishing simulation, those things exist to protect the organization from liability. They were never really designed to protect you. And in 2026, with the AI-powered attacks that can outsmart your instincts, with phishing surging and deepfakes becoming indistinguishable from reality, the gap between awareness and readiness is no longer acceptable. The people and organizations winning this fight are not ones with the most training hours logged. They're the ones who have made security a habit, a culture, a reflexive behavior that kicks in before the click, not after. That's the training that actually works, and that's available to everyone. If today's episode gave you something to think about, do me a favor, hit follow, leave a rating, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. It costs you nothing, and it keeps this conversation going. I'm Darnley, and this has been Darnley Cyber Café, where your unknown digital life stops here. Stay sharp, stay private, and remember, knowledge is your power.